slide yesterday, and all I'm stressing is that to make these two come together, you simply going to remove the water, and then they bond. Y'all be quiet now. And then we stopped because I was about to get into hydrolysis. And I couldn't do it all in 2 minutes, so here comes hydrolysis. Okay. To reverse this process, we call it digestion. You got to put the water back, basically. I mean, you exactly reverse what you did to make them put together. Not what you did, but the plant did. You come back and you put the water back and they unglued. They being those monomers. I think I left the word it. It apart. That don't read right, did it? No, it did. It does. You break the molecule apart, and you send the H here, OH there, so that does read right. Any kind of lysis is a catabolic. It's a destructive type process. So hydrolysis is to break down the water. When you do that, if I go back a step, you join the H and OH to make the water. So you separate the water back into H and OH, and you can make them separate. And all this is doing is that. You're taking one step there on top. Now that is, that's sucrose. And all you do is you take the water molecule and take one of the H's and put it here, and then OH and put it there, and then these two things now separate, and that's the end result of digestion. That is hydrolysis, because you're not making anything. You're breaking it apart. And I don't care what you do, whether you digest proteins or fats, that's how you do it. You add water. And this happens to be being done to carbohydrates, but the same thing happens over and over again all throughout your body. You remove the water to make things hook together, and you put it back to make things separate. It's just that simple. That's why water is so critical to living things. I mean, water is the essence of life. And you go out in space looking at these foreign planets. If we don't find water, we stop looking for life, because we figure water is so essential. Without water, they won't exist. And that's basically how I feel too. There might be somewhere the good Lord made something that doesn't need water. Maybe alcohol instead works. I don't know. I don't know the place. So based on our experience here on the earth and when we need water, we assume that if you find life on Mars, you're going to find water too. Because water is the medium of life. I mean, we've known that forever. And the more I teach, and the more I see this, it all revolves around water. It really does. All right? Okay. Of course, you have a camera, that's the best thing of all. Just take a picture, because that's... You might find that on the internet, but usually I will take it and I'll monkey around and make it square looking for the PowerPoint. Sometimes they're this way, and I will take it and put them under each other. So you might ever find one exactly like I've done, because by the time I get done with it, it fits the PowerPoint screen. And I think what happens on the internet, this arrow goes this way, and these two things are off the screen over yonder. You know what I mean? Like a long equation. So what I do, I just reverse the arrow, point it down, and show it going down the screen. And I did that last night. I found a new one to show this. I told Hillary this. I found me a better diagram that I didn't find earlier. And I've then replaced these two diagrams on the PowerPoint that I'm going to show next semester. And if I find a better one, I'll replace that one too. When I made my PowerPoint, this was the best I found. But I have since found a better one. And my PowerPoints, I'm never done with them. I'm not the kind of person. They're always evolving. And that's evolution to me. When I'm changing, make it better, make it better. That's evolution. They're evolving. Okay. I know that Ms. Smith, a few instructors up here use my PowerPoints, but they're using my first one that I made. They have like version 1. I'm on version like 10.2. They don't modify it. And so if they saw a PowerPoint now, they're going, "Oh my God, look how different it is here," because I never am satisfied. So if you have another teacher and she's teaching you, you're going to see sometimes PowerPoints that Bobby Teff made. Now, I don't sell them. I give them away to teachers in my profession. I don't give them to students. And I don't require anything in return from the teacher just to use it. And I tell them, that's not wrong with them. But usually, I'm so paranoid myself, there's nothing really wrong with it. All right.
Can you go back to the 12? All right.
13. Now, we're still talking about carbohydrates, and we've been dealing with these disaccharides, which are just two monomers hooked together. They get real long like a freight train. And they even branch like you branch of a tree. I don't have the word on there, but when you have a long carbohydrate, it's called a polysaccharide. Poly just means many. We don't even try to count them all. We don't mind counting 2. But we don't count anything above that. If you got 3, we know you're too big to work with. So 3 or higher we call poly. We don't say trisaccharide. I don't think there's a trisaccharide you can look up. I know it would be 3 monos, I know that. But I don't think we use trisaccharide. I don't think we do. I know we use triglyceride. You have? No. But usually our big concern is the monosaccharides, the disaccharides, and then all the others, which we call polys. Because if a disaccharide is too big to get in your blood system, you know the rest are too. But your table sugar you put in your Cheerios, that's a disaccharide from the get-go. That's the one that's this one right here. The one on top, that's table sugar. There's 2 monomers. Each little gray thing's a monosaccharide. And they're hooked together to make 2, that's a dimer, which is a disaccharide. I'm using the word mer because you think about proteins, they're made of amino acids, that's a polymer. And each acid is a monomer. So I'm using some very generic terms to discuss these monomers, the polymers. This one on top there, that is actually a disaccharide. And the 2 in the bottom, those are 2 separated monosaccharides. If you put 3 together, that'd be the trisaccharide that folks say they exist. And I don't doubt that, but the question, if you can't digest, you can't take a dye in, the rest of them you know it's too big too, so don't worry about those. All right, here's 14. You know starch makes your clothes stiff, don't you? You shouldn't be surprised that starch is not a soft type of thing. Cellulose is the most important starch in the plant kingdom. Plants don't have bones. So their starches hold them up. And the starches are in the cellulose, which is in the cell wall. It's like a stack of boxes. The cardboard would be the cellulose cell wall. I also mentioned oats to you. Any oats is a carbohydrate.
What is that, roughage?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you eat lettuce and things like that, that's something to fill your intestines up. You don't digest that. It fills your intestines, so you have something to push against as you move through your intestines. It's roughage. I mean, that's what it's good for. Now, if you're a cow, you actually digest cellulose. Cows and deers and moose and caribou and things like that. They have the enzymes to actually digest cellulose. Now, some folks have even said this about the vegetarian diet. A cow is truly vegetarian, right?
Yes.
Deer, right? They have the enzymes inside them to break down vegetables. We have those enzymes plus the ones for breaking down meat. And the folks who want to talk bad about vegetarians say, we are geared to eat both. If we were meant to be vegetarians, we'd have the system of a deer. Now, I don't care either way about it. I don't care. I know for a fact that a vegetarian diet is a better diet. And I'm the world's worst vegetarian. I like a good old steak. But I ain't gonna lie to you anything. I know that vegetables and fruits is a better diet. The folks in Hawaii, the Polynesians, they had no cancer at all until the jet airplanes started visiting the islands. And they brought in other folks who had that kind of diets and opened up restaurants and have a good old, like, Outback Steakhouse. And now Polynesians and Hawaiians, they have cancer like it else does. But back in the early 1900s, you couldn't find cancer in the Hawaiian Islands and Polynesian Islands because of the diet. That alone tells me the vegetarian diet is good. But the fact that my metabolism is geared for both vegetables and meats tells me I am not born a vegetarian. It's a diet I choose to have. And I will not be the one to say no. Well, I don't like it, the vegetarian telling me I'm stupid. Don't force your lifestyle on me. I won't force mine on you. But a lot of folks, they want to make you do their way. Now, I don't agree with that. What, don't you live as long as you can? Yeah, I do. But still.
That's just like parents making you eat cottage cheese on peaches when you're little.
Yeah.
That's just a flashback on bedtime.
That's okay. But I say to each his own. Just don't force me to partake if I don't want to. You don't call me stupid if I don't. You know how that works. So about the roughage, I saw y'all picked up on the word. Your intestines shove food along. And finally, you had to go to the bathroom. Right? Well, you need that roughage in there to have something to push against. You've seen the stool of a baby, haven't you? That's that's basically milk product. It's more muddy than anything else. And if I'm not mistaken, as far as odor goes, a baby species doesn't stink if we start adding baby food to it. The roughage, bacteria come in, and then when they have a messed up diaper, you can smell it. But like a little month-old baby, you have to often feel.
No, it stinks, but not as bad.
No, it's not as bad. It's not anything that makes you want to throw up.
Oh, that's true.
I can share with you this. I have a brand new, what do you call it? My brother's daughter's baby. What, my great cousin? My great niece?
Grand cousin.
She is 1 month old. She was rushed to Eccleston yesterday. She was dying. and we all started praying for her. There's a condition, and I forgot it now. When that baby was developing for the first trimester, about the last fourth of her large intestine got no nerves. It's a food stomach. It backs up, compacts. Springfield, Birch Sprung. I know the name of it.
Hirschsprung disease. Hirschsprung disease.
That's it. And the food moves fine, and right there it stops, and it backs up. And the pain is, they say, is excruciating. And my sister, this is her grandbaby, was at the hospital yesterday, and she said, Bobby, the baby turned purple, the anguish, it was terrible. So they rushed her to Evanston and praying. When they got to Evanston, they found nothing wrong. They looked at the colon, it was perfect. And I know the doctor here didn't miss that because they saw the baby. So I'm thinking prayer worked. I mean, I've never seen anything that drastic. But when they got there, and my sister said, I know they're going fast in the ambulance, but as far as they were crawling. But she's in there with them now. But when her name is Charlotte May, and she's a little bitty thing. When she got there, they expected to do surgery, remove that bad section, hook the good section back up, all that stuff. No. When they got inside there, they found nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. And I'm going, whoa. Now, you always pray for things, you know.
Will it continue to be like that, or will she?
Well, I don't know about those shoot. It's going to happen again in 2 months.
Yeah.
Is she really well? Right now, as far as my sister, she goes, Bob, this is the most thing you've seen in your life. The doctors up here, they were about to doubt the doctor in Columbus as being competent. Because he would admit, and the guy said, no, she told me the doctor's name, but he trained up there. He knows what he saw. And I never saw little Charlotte, but my sister said it scared her to death. They be screaming in agony. And I don't want to say that because I love babies, period. But when my brother-in-law, he is not what you call a dyed-in-the-wool Christian. He called me last night. He's a hunter, but he said, Bobby, you don't believe this. That's his grandmother. Charlotte, they got her up here. They can't find nothing wrong with her. I mean, what? I said, nothing. There's nothing wrong with her. I said, he goes, the Lord moved. He wouldn't say that kind of stuff. I am, but that sent chills down my spine. Now, I still want to, in a week or 2 weeks, I want to know how it's going now. But she's on her way back. Well, last night they were on the way back. I guess she's back with them now. I want to give them a call when y'all leave and see how it's with Charlotte. But this to me is a major thing. So, but like you mentioned, I want to know it in 2 months if she's still. We'll find out. But they plan to do surgery. That's why they went to Evansville and take out the non-developed portion. And they said the outcome was good if they did that, but they didn't have to do that. So they brought her right back. And now I just kind of wait to see. I mean, I said a prayer of thanks. But some things you can't explain, I guess. And that's one of them. And if it holds true, I would never be able to explain it. I don't need that dashing word component. I'm gonna start taking. I'm not needing more dashes because my PowerPoint change size and dashes like that mess me up. I'm gonna leave them like a dash over there. All right. Now there's that word polymer. Anytime you have a large molecule made of a bunch of little ones put together, that's a polymer. And each one, a little one, is a monomer. So 5 monomers put together make one big polymer. Starches, proteins, nucleic acids, but those are all made of other little components, like a necklace chain, or like a freight train. Well, that is a polymer. Now, glucose is not a polymer. It's one of the beads of that chain, one of the rungs. So if you had 5 glucoses put together, that'd be 5 monomers making one 5-piece polymer, if that makes sense. But you know, in the Army, we starched our uniforms. I'm gonna stand by the step in the corner of me, and it looked good until they got some wrinkles in it, and when I had it done by the cleaners, I always say heavy starch because I was, you know, I was strike, and I could get out of it and still stand there. And you folks in the military know what I'm talking about. But they wasn't very comfortable though. They wasn't soft like. And then later on, I went to permanent press, and those were nice. I've been seeing soldiers wearing blue pants. Have they changed?
Yep.
Wow.
Dress codes.
When I saw blue pants, I thought the Air Force guy is training.
Where's the green?
And the soldiers are wearing blue pants, and they're not green anymore. I don't know if I like that or not. All right. Carbohydrates, their claim to fame is that they are used for energy and structure. Now, structure, I'm saying like in a plant. We use them for energy. Remember the cellulose and the cell wall, like a stack of boxes in that plant? If you don't water it, then the water leaves and the plant droops over. If you water it, he'll stand right back there. They're strong. But in our bodies, you find now, on our cell surface, we have those glycolipids. But those are structural, so we use ours as structure too. But if you had to say, give me one function for a carbohydrate, I would say energy.
Energy.
If you said, give me 3, I would then start putting more in them. I would always say energy first. So that is the fuel that we use. But it's not honey fuel. Okay? Now we're going to talk about lipids. Now I'm through talking about carbs. Fats, and a lot of folks don't know the oils, they're lipids too. A fat is like lard. You cannot pour it from the carton. An oil is like Wesson oil that you pour out of a jar. They're both lipids. They're both lipids. So I don't often like to use the word fat for lipid because I'm leaving out the word oil. I prefer to say lipid. And then I want people to know, well, that could be oils or fats. I got a picture coming up. I can show you a picture, but I can paint a picture in your mind. But you see that word triglyceride? Okay, tri refers to the 3 fatty acids. It does not refer to the 3 carbons in glycerol. Tri refers to the 3 fatty acids. Now, glycerol has 3 carbons. That's where you hook the acids to. Each carbon, you plug in one acid to it. So if you look at it, it looks like a capital E, really. The backbone would be the glycerol, and this carbon has a fatty acid, and this carbon has fatty acid, and the acids might be different. There are many kinds of fatty acids. Some are long, some are short. But you're going to have the backbone, the 3 carbons, and the carbons is where the acids plug into. So a triglyceride, it might be pointing this way or that way, but you're going to have a backbone and 3 fatty acids sticking off of it. That's going to be a triglyceride. And right there where the acid hits the carbon, that's where the water comes out to make them glue together. So if I have 3 separate fatty acids floating around, and I want to make a triglyceride, then I'll pull out 3 water molecules. And the first water molecule put out, this acid attached. The next water molecule, that attaches. The next one, that attaches. So to make it come apart, you got to put back in 3 water molecules. And when you digest it, you got to make it come apart. That is just too big to go into your bloodstream. But this by itself can go in, and that can go in, and that can go in, and then the upright can go in. It's like the disaccharides. That's too big while they're put together, but you separate them, they go in there one at a time, into your blood, I mean. So This glycerol-fatty acid complex is when they do a blood, they will check my triglyceride. And I'm always right around, I'm high normal. I'm afraid I have one thing, I had too much fried chicken, maybe be low abnormal. But my problem is this though. I go to the doctor every 3 months, right? And that last 2 weeks if I go to the doctor, guess what I start doing? Eating really good. Now, I leave my doctor with a good bill of health. I go to Kentucky Fried Chicken. What should I be doing?
Should be eating normally.
Exactly.
So we can tell.
So I'm the world's worst preacher. I can tell you how to do it, but I don't often practice what I preach. But I know how. But before I go to a doctor, and Lynn knows I do it. I taught her in high school, my doctor. She knows I do it. She said, Miss Jeff, like you said, you got to be all the way or no way. I said, well, okay. I know I ain't gonna change. I know Bobby Tell. So that's where I stand. This is what you would call a triglyceride. Does it not look pretty complex to y'all? It is pretty complex. Could you put another hydrogen in there anywhere? They're all full. Every carbon's got 4 bonds. Look carefully at it. Even right here, count them. There's 4 bonds. Every carbon has all his bonds. He can't hold another one. That sucker is called saturated. And right here, right there, is where the water came out. If I put water back here, I put water back here, and water back here, this leg will come off, that leg will come off, that leg will come off, and that's how you digest it. You put the water back. But look now, every bond you see right there, that's energy you could use. How much energy is that fat right there? Now you look at this fat, let me back you up. Now look at the cholesterol. I mean the sugar. See the H's? What do you see more H's? In this glucose or in that bad boy?
This one.
Now, there's no doubt, in this sucker, there is tons more energy than in glucose. So why does the body use glucose for if that's got more energy? It's easier to break it down. That bad boy requires a lot of time to break down. This thing right over here, that's not really as complex as the one you saw earlier. And that's energy to keep us alive. Tell you what though now, if you eat too much of this, your body will change it
to fat
and save it for you. Because you know what, you never use it if you keep eating, right? But if you were to crash on an island and be deserted and no one find you for like a month, if you can find water, you'd live off your own body. When they found you, you look real nice. You all trimmed up and you look buff. And you go back and visit McDonald's and 47 flavors, whatever it is. Go back like it was. But anyway now, that is, and this is another rendition of a triglyceride. Now if you look carefully, those are the carbons, and each one has 4 pegs coming off of it. Now look back. You see the O's? There they are. You see the C's? There they are. And all these H's? There they are. Now, which one looks longer? The color version or the black and white version?
The black and white.
Oh yeah, they're different kind of triglycerides. This is shorter. And see that right there? This right there.
Okay.
So I like those pictures because it shows you 2 different looks. But can you see they're the same? Now, something up here.
This one is
Oh, it's still coming, okay.
unsaturated.
I thought I messed up, but I want to show you something that's still coming. Okay. So we're right there. I'm on slide 520. Now, there's some words, and you've all heard of unsaturated, and saturated, and polyunsaturated. I want to try to let you know what the terms mean. Okay. If you're saturated, your carbons have all the H's they can possibly hold. You couldn't hold one more. That makes you pretty stiff. But if you have some double bonds between your carbons, that means you could hold some more H's. And we'd call you unsaturated. What's better for you, to eat saturated fats or unsaturated fats?
Unsaturated.
Unsaturated. You know the lard that you scoop out and let melt in your skillet? That is saturated, buddy. But what you pour out of the glass bottle, like Wesson oil, that is unsaturated. That's from a plant. The lard from an animal. Now I gotta admit something. If I'm having me some fried cube steak, I want to fry it in lard. It tastes better. But the rule of thumb is, the better it tastes,
The worst for you.
you know it's true.
The worst for you.
I don't know why that is. But it seems to me like, the better something tastes to me, the more I should not eat it. And the more foul it tastes, I should move it down. Ever taste baby food? No. Is it good?
Probably.
It's good for you though. It's good for you though. Does not, but it doesn't taste good. That fits the rule. All right. This is saturated. This is not. See the difference? That one is full. You see the double bonds between the carbons? Everywhere you see double bonds, you can hold more hydrogen. That's the better fat for you right there. But that's not fat though, that's oil. That's oil. Because when you have all the things full, you can't be poured. You're like a solid chunk of lard or Crisco. But when you can be poured, it's because you can bend. And you're a liquid. That's an oil. That's a fat. They're both lipids. They're both lipids. And that's why I don't like saying lipid equals fat. Because you do, you leave that one out. That's also lipid, but that's not fat. That's oil. It's unsaturated. Now, I took the other picture, and I actually worked. Well, I made that one too. I put all the cross things into it. I couldn't find one like I liked. Remember that one right there? If I remove some of these white things and actually what I made it look like that.
Unsaturated.
You see the blue areas? They're missing hydrogen. So in my mind, this one has all the white dots he can pass, that's hydrogen, and this one is missing some dots. Now, who has, I see 3 legs, right? That's polyunsaturated.
Okay.
That's poly. If you only had 1 leg missing, you'd be unsaturated. The more legs you have missing, you become poly. So, unsaturated versus polyunsaturated, poly is better for you. Poly is better for you. This one right here is unsaturated. And that one where I put all the whites back. Every carbon is full of hydrogen. That's like lard that you scoop out of a carton and dump into your skillet and then you melt it. Yes.
When you say legs, are you talking about the hydrogen bonds that are attached to the carbon bond?
I'll go back to another picture right here.
Yeah. And then you go back to the actual picture where it shows blue. Go to, yeah, no, go to, yeah. When you say, in order to get poly, and you say the word legs, Are you referring to the hydrogen attached to the carbon?
I'm referring to how many of these legs. If I only had one blue, say that wasn't there. Say that wasn't there. So he was all, say, all green and white, right? Like this
Right.
is. And that would not be poly then. If only one leg is done and two legs are full, that's not poly. When you have, this is poly. And that's real poly. Because all three legs are missing H's. If I put a double bond right here and not those two, he'd be unsaturated but not poly. When all the legs are missing some, you're poly. That's even better for you. Now it seems to me like when I'm frying deer meat, I call cube steak, I get a better fry, I get better crust when I fry it in something like that, which is being out of lard and throw it in the skillet and let it melt first, right? And I take some water, and if the water crackles, I know it's ready to put the meat in. If the water don't crackle, then it ain't hot enough yet. I use that one because I feel guilty when I use that. That will taste better to me. This will work if I'm hungry.
You
So
have to
the
be
one,
really hungry to eat.
the one before that is polysaturated,
Yeah,
or is it just saturated?
it's just saturated
Okay,
too. And that is polyunsaturated.
okay. But they're still triglycerides.
They're all triglycerides. They're all triglycerides. That is saturated. There's polyunsaturated. They're all triglycerides. That would be a liquid you can pour from a bottle. This you can only pour after you heat it. But what's in your... Do you need to keep that refrigerator?
No.
I never did. My grandma did, but she had the thing of lard sitting, of course, now. And when it cools off, it turns back. It gets hard again. It's hard again. So, have you ever fried? Not fried. Yeah, you fried hamburger meat, and you get the oil in it, and you pour out the oil. Well, I make something I call seashells, and it's great in wintertime. Well, I take like a pound of hamburger meat, and I brown it real good, and all that grease comes up. I then open a can of tomato sauce. I want the can, so I pour the sauce into a glass, and then I want to pour the grease off. So I take and pour the grease into that can, and it all solidifies. You know that, right? That's saturated. And so I'm thinking that when I eat my seashells and I pour all that stuff off, that's better for me than leaving it in there. You can leave it in there and mix it up real good too. But my guilt gets me. So I'll pour it out, and I'll use more tomato sauce to make it kind of juicy. I don't want to use a natural. So when I pour that stuff, it pours real nice. I leave it sitting in my sink, and when it hardens, you can't pour it back out of there at all, because that shows me that in that meat now, in that meat. Now, could you use that to fry egg? Yeah, you can. It'll taste, you know. Some restaurants they'll cook and they have different skillets for cooking different meals. You know, if you cook something like fish, if you use fish oil, your hamburger have fishy taste. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So and your bases, like your detergents, a base cuts grease. So you can't just run water into something and get it clean, can you? You must use, and whether it's Tide or Joy or whatever that detergent is, there's a base inside there. It's always basic. A lot of us wear gloves to keep it off their hands. I never have bothered my wife. I always wear the blue gloves, and she don't want to. I just scrub.
I read that the lining of the inside of the cans, they use BPA as a preservative,
Yes.
and the tomato ones are the worst because the acid from the tomato can leach the BPA from the inside of the can.
And they produce chemical products that you're eating. Well, everyone, I guess you know this, that if you go to a farmer's market and you buy your snap beans, you know, the green, fresh off the field, they taste sweet. If you go to Winn-Dixie, buy them like, in the can, that sugar sets up and turns to starch. So if you've never had any black-eyed peas that are picked off the vine that day, you don't know what good peas taste like, because the sugar is still there. But when you go to, and you buy, I think Bush's has a can of black-eyed peas, and of course you open the can and pour it in, and you heat it up. As it sets up, the sugar in the pea converts to starch like it does naturally. So when you eat, it's good eating. But if you ever have eaten things, and my mama had a garden, and she invited me up for Sunday dinner at her house, I never turned her down. That was the best eating. I could go on down to, to these restaurants in town, but their stuff kind of can. And though it's good, can't hold straight to mama. Or any fresh vegetables. And that's why the farmers markets, they still go, because folks who know. My son is 25, and he has discovered the joy of flowers. He's a motorcycle mechanic. That's his flowers, though. And he's learned that he wants to have a garden. He used to laugh at me in my garden. Daddy, I work at your house. That's fine. And he went, hey, Daddy, how deep you planting them black-eyed peas? I said, what you want to know for, boy? I said, I'm going to plant me a garden out here. He's got sandy soil. He wants watermelons. And I said, well, go for it, man. And then he's going to discover how much fun it is gardening. It's nothing other than keeping the weed. Now, you can make work out of it, but you don't want to have a garden bigger you consume, right? And I said, I pick your okra now for when it's young. Okra gets big, it loses taste. So you got to pick every day. You can't pick on Saturdays now. So I think he's got a garden going. He won't tell me that. So he laughed at me so many times about my garden. I'm gonna ride there and put a scarecrow in the garden. And where he lives, deer have a problem. They eat your garden.
Yeah, I was about to say, deer bust watermelons right open.
Oh yeah, man. So and for deer season, I'll pay him a visit. He baked the deer in for me.
It's already deer season.
He'll soon learn that you need to put some big fences up. Or have dogs. And his dog, he has a dog out there. That's like a trained sheepdog. He'll run deer off. He'll run you off too. But he'll want no a dog to bite you because things are liable. Well now, this is what I've been telling you about all this time. There's saturated lipids and unsaturated. Now, the saturated ones, well, I love coconut, but I know it's bad for me. Coconut cake. I like a pina colada with no alcohol in it. It costs much to drink. They all charge me less. But butter, the real butter, coconut, oil, or some oils, breast milk, and meat have the saturated stuff in it. Unsaturated, well, you can read it said. Olive oil is, I like olive oil. And that's a very good oil for you too. I guess I use soybeans sometimes. Is it Crystal hamburger made of soybean?
Yes.
Because it's so unique tasting. I love them too. I think the Crystal hamburger is soybean. I ain't sure it's meat at all anymore, really. Because, there's nothing tastes like Crystal, obviously.
It's peanut oil.
Huh?
It's peanut oil.
It'd be good.
I'm saying
I think
like
it's-
saturated or unsaturated.
It'd be unsaturated probably. Most of you plants are unsaturated, as you see right there. Now the coconut, that's fruit. Butter, of course, has come from a cow, right? That's animal origin. Of all you see up there, the coconut is the one that, like the Mounds candy bars, all the coconut inside there. Love it.
Deer love coconut.
Very bad for you though.
Soybean. Deer love soybean.
Oh, I know they do. There ain't much deer don't love, really.
Soy milk.
I'm not sure they eat kudzu though. They make trails to kudzu, but I don't think they eat it. I've never seen a deer grazing in kudzu. I've seen deer trails through kudzu to get to your corn. Now, you know this by now, but the saturated stuff is not excessive now. You can have it, just don't have it every single meal. Excessive intake. No, arterial sclerosis, that's the hardening of the blood vessels, and they get smaller. Heart disease, all associated with the saturated fats. Unsaturated, now again, you can't pig out, but are basically good for you. And if you're watching your cholesterol, they're really good for you, because they'll use the bad cholesterol up. When you prostate unsaturated, you use the bad cholesterol. There's two kinds of cholesterol, right? The low density and high density. The high density is what's in your blood, is what's in your cell membranes. The low density, you're going to get from the saturated stuff. It's going to stick to inside your blood vessels and cut down flow of blood and cause all kinds of health problems. But you can't overdo anything, really, can you? Even pure oxygen will kill you dead. You got to have it 20%. You can't breathe pure oxygen. There's I already told you this a little bit, but I'm going to make it official. Saturated fats tend to increase the badness. The low density, I think, will lay you low in your grave. And high density, H, makes you happy. That's how I remember the two. After a while, I forget which one's good for you. I think H for happy. That alone is all I need. And then unsaturated is the very opposite. So actually, not only is it not hurting you, it's doing something good for you. So that's the vegetable diet. The vegetarian diet is going to consume a lot more unsaturated. And if you're like me, getting a good old steak now, then I'm getting saturated fat in my steak. Now, I understand that fish are good for you. Fish are good for you. So maybe fish is not the same category as steaks and things like that, or pork chops and things. I tell you that deer, they say deer is good for you, only because we ain't fattening the deer up, we ain't filling it full of chemicals. That deer is nature's own. But I still cook the meat well done though. I don't know what's in that meat, so I cook the crap out of it. But I love it though. I mean, and I have what's called, now what some folks said to do, and I've tried it, they'll tell you like, make 2 pounds of hamburger. Put a pound of beef in there from Winn-Dixie and a pound of venison. And what happens, the fat from the Winn-Dixie cooks with the venison and you get the best of both worlds. I know my mama swore she didn't like venison. And I hunt, my brother, my sister hunts. She's killed deer. But she's not strong, and when she kills one, she calls one of her brothers her to come and like fishing. You catch it, you unhook it. But we do it for her, we love her. But we had a birthday party and I was cooking. I was the one cooking, and my brother said, "This is the yellow plate and the red plate. We're going to put the hamburger meat on the red plate." I misheard him. I thought venison was on it, so I was cooking venison. I put it on the red plate, and the hamburger on the yellow plate. And Mama would eat stuff on the yellow plate because of this. Well, I reversed it for her. Mama ate 3 hamburgers, and then somebody said, "Bobby, you got it wrong." And what? I says, because I was eating the red stuff. I like venison. And the problem was that on the red stuff was the hamburger.
So neither one of you could tell the difference? You or your mama?
It's Bambi. It's Bambi.
Yeah.
I use what's called game tame. It's a marinade. You put it in and take that out of it. So when I tell you what now, Folks say, well, it's cheaper to go hunting. No, it's not either. By the time you buy your license, buy your gun, pay the processor, it's cheaper to go buy from Winn-Dixie.
Butchered yourself.
Yeah, process.
Yeah.
Well, I don't process myself.
Wait,
I'm too
Winn-Dixie
lazy.
sells
Or you can
deer?
buy your own, you can do all your processing.
All you gotta do is hang them upside down and cut the skin off and then shave them in half, well, swallow them in half and then cut it up in pieces, put it in the freezer, there you go. And then
That's
freeze it.
I know that, but I don't do that.
No.
I don't, all I do is gut the thing, and I take it then to the processor. He hangs it up, he takes the hide off of it, he quarters it, he makes my butterflies whatever I want. Once I shoot the deer and gut it, I'm done with the suckers. And then, because I can afford it. Now, if I was maybe always broke and eating, because now I got to do it now. If you do your stuff, you're going to save money. Right about it. Yeah, if you did all your stuff, you would save some money. But I can afford it, so therefore I don't want to fool with it.
Mr. Jeff, does Winn-Dixie sell deer meat?
Huh? No, I'm referring to hamburger meat.
Oh,
I don't know if you, I don't
Getting
think you can
started
even, I don't think you can sell deer meat. I can give you, I don't know if I can sell it to you.
can you go to like a processor and like buy it?
Yeah,
You can buy, yeah, you can buy your own processor.
Oh.
And I will come hamburger meat, you can buy, you can do the thing yourself. I just don't want to.
You can go
And
to
I've
process
seen many
and
deer,
buy it.
now, I'm a deer hunter, I ain't a deer, I've seen deer I let walk for. Cause I know when I shoot that deer, the work starts. I ain't gonna shoot a deer, that's not, man, I watched deer, I watched one time, I should have a camera, I watched a doe come out with her fawn. And I was putting over the cornfield, I see that. The door, and I saw that doe take her hooves. How you shut corn, she used her hooves to do it. I went, well, she popped that sucker, and I began to see little young things go flying off. And little fawn. And she shot that deer with those sharp hooves. And she had it pinned down, and she was hitting that sucker. Now, who taught her this? I don't know. But after a while, you saw the green start to come off of it. She hit that thing, and you see little yellow corns go flying, and of course the fawn would go get it. Another doe came on the field, and was going to partake in the. Well, that other doe, she hit that doe and run her off. Man, got downright nasty with her. And I watched that for, I looked at my scope so I could see it, and I wasn't going to shoot her, I was going to watch her. And coolest thing, and my Tim lives in Mark. He said, Daddy, the other day I was walking down the road, and I saw 2 ears. So I stopped, and Gus is a big old dog would kill a deer, so he had Gus. And the two, he walked there, he said, Daddy, a fawn jumped up and she went out off the ground. Jumped up, looked at me, and she took off running. He said, I kept walking, and he said, I think the dog scared the fawn. I think I could have walked up on her. But the odor of the dog. I walked up on fawn for myself. I saw a fawn there, I walked up and got a little closer, and she's looking at me. I think she thinks if she be still,
They just lay in the ground. I tripped over one time.
She's laying curled up, and I saw the white ears, and I knew it was either that or a coyote, maybe gone. So I can't walk. I said, and I went. She didn't do nothing. Just looked at me. I got like here, you boy. She hopped up and she took off. I couldn't have caught her for nothing, but I may could have dove and got her, but then she probably hurt me. But I've seen, I love watching them fawn because they're so fun to watch them frolic around. But I've seen pictures where coyotes have taken full-grown deer. So I thought, if they're taking deer, they might even attack me out there in the woods. But I got a gun. It's got 6 bullets. My luck, I have 10 coyotes probably. And I shoot 6 of them. If I'm looking, 4 will still be there. But wild dogs are a big risk. Wild dogs, they can hurt you. Coyotes tend to be afraid of you. And this is what, when you scoop out the lard, it's solid at room temperature. You get like the Western oil and you just pour it out of a bottle. Well, that would be unsaturated. They're both lipids. See, if you're full of H's, you can't bend, so you can't be a liquid. if you're missing H's, then you can bend up and you can be a lipid. And you know this by now that if you're saturated, you're from a plant. I mean, you're from an animal like butter. I wonder about cheese. I don't know.
What if it's
If cheese is saturated, I sure like it. Probably is.
It comes from milk. If you think about it.
Which is
Which is
butter.
saturated.
So I would think that by the common origin, it's probably saturated. Of course, now unsaturated stuff like your olive oils and vegetable oils and soybean stuff is unsaturated, of course. I believe that when I try to use it, if I get the oil really, really hot before I cook with it, it'll make the better crust. But that saturated oil, you ain't got to steam it. It cooks really good. This kind of thing I'd cook maybe once or twice a month. And I would try to cook it every weekend. And you know, oils and oils, I mean, the lipids and water don't mix. So lipids are hydrophobic. They don't dissolve in water. And things that do dissolve in water will not dissolve in lipid, as you probably know. They're separated. If you know the lava lamps you see, they're using that phenomenon to keep the bubble, the oil moving.
Wait, that's what that is?
Mm-hmm.
How do they get it to color? Is it just like...
I'm just like,
It's just color beads and color glass. So even nature knows that if you make a cell membrane out of fat, it's a good barrier against water and things that will dissolve in water. So that's why your cell membranes are so much full of those phospholipids. By being fat, that guarantees that water can't get through there. If you're inside, you can't get out. Unless you go through an aquaporin, one of those membrane proteins. Since, you know, water, more things can dissolve in water than any other. Water is your universal dissolver. So if you have a membrane which will not let water dissolve in it, that's a natural barrier, and that's why you find lipids. That's your cell membrane, lipids. It works out beautifully. Okay.
Hold on.
Now, if you take water, put it in an old-fashioned Coca-Cola bottle, pour in some lipids, shake it real hard, put it in. See a lot of little bubbles. They'll all come together eventually and make one big bubble. They'll never dissolve. You put up some salt water in there, that salt's gone. Sugar's gone. Okay? All right, the surface of many leaves are made of wax, which is a kind of lipid. I put wax on my boots to make them waterproof. Well, because wax is a lipid and water can't go through it. You spray it on, I tend to rub it on. My leather riding jackets, you can wax them down. And you ride in the driving rain, you'll find that the rain won't go through the jacket. And the lipid, you need water to make a reaction go. You know that, right?
yes.
Well, can a water go into a lipid? That makes it very non-reactive, so you get to save that stuff a long time. It's like in a refrigerator. The lipid itself, by keeping out the water, preserves how long you can store something. That's why lipid is a storage medium. If you can't get water into it, you can say water will mess things up, as you well know. Okay? Now you do save your food as fuel as lipids, but then you break them apart and you send out the particles to be fuel. If you crash the airplane on some island you can't get to, all your body does is take your lipids, your natural fat, and sends out what? Glucose as you need it. And when all your fat's gone, it starts dissolving your muscles next, because the muscles also is a good storage place. And when they're all gone, you're skin and bones. You've seen folks like in the prison camps who are just skin stretched over bones, right? And then they're not going to live long because then diseases set in and you just don't have strength to fight. So if you ever get stranded, I mean, I'm 50 pounds, I know I'm overweight, I'm 50 pounds. If I were to be stranded, I would lose all the extra weight. I'd trim back down to my boxing weight. And if I kept stranded, then I'd go on down to my emaciated weight. And finally, I'd die of starvation. Actually, starvation means some disease killed you because you were so weak that you wouldn't die from normally. That's how you die of starvation. And of course, if I ain't eating, how can I make energy to keep my heart beating? Can't. And you just die. Yes.
Is that what muscle wasting is?
That's exactly what it is. But it'll take bread and water can keep you alive a long, long, long time. Muscle wasting will happen though. Prisoners who are fed bread and water will live a long time, but they'll be so weak they can't run for it when they have a chance to escape. That's why 2 soldiers with guns can guard 100 prisoners. They have no strength. But now when you first get captured, well, I know in the Army that we first captured people, we had a lot of guards. And as time passed and the prisoners lost their strength, then some guards would return back to the front lines. It would take less men to guard these weak men. And it's not against the Geneva Convention feeding bread and water, is it? Because you don't want them, you treat them for diseases and that kind of stuff, but you don't want them to be as strong as you are. Then I got to have 1 man to guard 1 prisoner. That won't work. Not at all. And the military police and the Army, their whole job is prisoner management. That's what they do. And I had a few friends who were military policemen, and they were cold-blooded people too. They do things I've never done. They're mean. I could never have been a police officer, I guess, because I'm too lenient. They'd pop a cap on your heartbeat. Lipids can dissolve in lipids, though, as you know. Fat can dissolve in fat. Steroids can dissolve in fat. They make good signalers. They can go right on inside there and relay a message. Now there are some hormones that are steroids and some hormones that are non-steroids. If you're a hormone made from lipid, then you can go right into a cell without going through a protein channel. But if you're a hormone and you're made from protein, which is not fat soluble, then you got to go through the little door, the little protein channel. Steroids are very, very strong because they get things done by themselves. And non-steroid is the first person of a line of people who must work to get something accomplished. So non-steroid is never going to be as strong as a steroid is, because a non-steroid cannot dissolve in fat. You cannot go to the cell membrane. That non-steroid, you know the receptor protein that's sitting there and the shape you land on top of it? Well, the non-steroid lands on top of it, and inside here something happens because you landed. And then this then happens, and that causes a chain reaction. But a non-steroid can go right on in like those saying says, if you want something done right, do it yourself. That's what they do. I mean, if you want something done right, then you do it yourself. A steroid believes in that. A non-steroid, well, I'll give you the job to do something that I might get fired for. If you don't do it, I'll get fired. A non-steroid works like that. It's called delegating authority. And most of the good bosses surround themselves with what? Good workers or lousy workers?
Good workers.
And who gets the credit?
The boss.
How long does if you surround yourself with people you can't rely on, how long will you last?
Not long.
Exactly. And then the folks who do the best work, they get worked to death.
It's true.
And the ones who you don't trust them, they get their paycheck every month, but they don't do the work that other guy does. And some people know that I am being worked to the bone, but because of your integrity, you won't stop. You're gonna keep on doing the best job. So if I got a chore I've been given by my boss, and I ain't got time, it's gotta be done right, I won't give that chore to a slacker or to a good worker.
Good worker.
And they're gonna get the same amount of money. Is that right? They have to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would give it to the slacker so I can get paperwork against them. I mean, that would be the.
You think so, but then your performance looks bad because of slacker. You might be giving your paycheck with him.
Yeah, you did just.
You follow me? So what? I know many principals in high school, they only hire the best teachers because your school, actually, whether you like it or not, your teachers makes your school what it is.
Yes.
If you can't pass state standards, whose fault was that? The teachers or the principal?
The principal.
And that's true. I'm not talking about doing it every single time. I mean, but like here and there, I would definitely do it to get paperwork against that person. So they're.
Well, you're going to build a file. You do build a file.
Yeah, so if I got my nerves up, I have no
I
paperwork.
tell you what,
Justice.
the best teachers are the ones who haven't been teaching very long. After 3 years, a teacher, it takes the act of God to fire a teacher. The first 3 years, they just submit over your contract, no questions asked. In your first 3 years, they offer you a contract. And after your 4th year, if they don't offer it, they may give you grounds for not offering it to you. But the first 3 years, you're at their discretion. You do a great job because you want to be offered the next time. That's why there's some folks at Hardaway when I first started teaching. I wondered how they stayed there. They were ridiculous because they were tenured.
But that's not good.
And the principals slowly would do transfers. They'll ship you somewhere else. And if I'm the principal, I got room for 50 teachers, I want 50 lousy and 50 best.
50
If
best.
I got one lousy one, I want to make his job so unreasonable that he won't want to quit or transfer me. He'll get mad. I say, well, okay, I'll transfer you. It's on all the time, right?
Where are you taking transfer the person to where?
Huh?
Where are you going to transfer them to?
I taught at Hardaway High School.
Another school?
Yeah, another
Hardaway.
school.
High school here in Columbus. And when I left there, we had things just like you wanted. And every teacher there was one I would not mind my son having as a teacher. When I first got there in '77, there were a few teachers I would have fussed. If you saw my son this teacher, I would hit the wall because I knew the teacher was lousy.
How do you know if a teacher's good or not, though?
Huh?
How do you know if a teacher is good or not?
By talking to students a lot of times, hearing how they teach. Hearing how they teach. Because they never taught me, right? But I hear students talk about how teachers run their classes. And the good teachers teach how they would like to be taught. But that takes some work. The bad teachers teach just to get a paycheck. They'll read the paper sometimes, like, they'll give a kid an assignment, they sit back and kind of read a novel. At Hardaway, when when I first got there, they would give you an advance warning. We're coming to observe you tomorrow. Well, what good is that?
It's not good. You have to come unannounced.
I knew they're coming, so what would I do? Well, I put on my nice suit. But the way Sasser did it, he just walked in your door. So you have to be teaching all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how, and the good teachers, they like that because Come on when you want to. I'm always teaching. My says, come on in. I'm always teaching. I never minded that. But some folks didn't like that being, they want to be told ahead of time. Which I'm going, well, that's stupid. You should be teaching every time like you be observed. All right? Lipids do more than only store things. They can serve as insulation. You all know that the animals fatten themselves up to survive the cold winter months. Keeps you warm. That's their coat, their fat. When you see the folks who go hunt the whales, they go up north of real cold. Because when it's real cold, the whales put on their blubber. That blubber's the oil. Well oil burns in the lantern like gasoline burns. Man, you kill one big whale, you can make a lot of lanterns. Of course, it takes a long time for whales to produce stuff. So if you hunt them all the time, next thing you know, there ain't no whales left. But we almost got where there wasn't no whales left, and now we have. I think Russia is the only country right now that does not regard a whale, and if you see it, they kill it. In our country, there's only so many you can kill. You gotta have another occupation. But you know, we can't. I think we'll go to war against them, but we can't tell in international waters. Our Coast Guard has no say on the Russians. If you want to kill 50 sperm whales and only 51 left in the world, they'll do it. But we think, how about it? When you got one left, can you reproduce? It'd be difficult. So we had to watch out. All right. So you know, a hibernation, how they fatten up hibernation. Luckily, the winter months they get through. Can you wake a bear who's hibernating? You sure can. You don't want to either. That'd mess your whole day up.
That's your whole life, though.
Yeah, it cut your canvas strip short by forever. But yeah, they wake up and go back. They wake up and go back. How many more lipids I got? Okay, good. We'll do one more lipid and stop. Okay. You ever hear of mercury? A mercury be found in fish? And you both eat the fish, right? You don't eat fish, do you? Well, mercury, fats are a good place to hold these poisons. So if that fish is swimming in a water that's been used to cool a factory, and in that water discharge there are these toxins, well, the fat of the fish will soak up and hold the toxins. So when you go fishing, you catch some catfish and you eat the suckers, and you get sick from a poison that you got from the fish that was in the fish's fat. Pesticides is how we would take a pesticide and put it in fat because it'll stay a long time. Ever heard of DDT? It's been banned now, you know why doesn't it? DDT don't kill, it kills. It was great, but it killed everything, including human beings, so we banned it. A lot of farmers said, man, without DDT, I can't make a crop. You got to find something to do, farmers. Let me teach school somewhere. But that's the old problem. See, if your pesticide is not in fat, how can it get into a cell to kill the germ? It can't. So your pesticides must be lipid soluble, so they can get into the. All this stuff comes back. We got to figure out pretty good how to do things and how not to do things. But most times, you start messing with Mother Nature, you tend to mess things up more than anything else. So Mother Nature has a good balance. You leave her alone. We can't leave things alone. I mean, y'all know that yourself. So we come in next time, we'll start protein. See y'all tomorrow. I put on Angel tonight, how we're going to do the lab tomorrow, but it's going to be the same kind of thing. So we're using that substance called